Hello, all you single people and... No, I want to go reverse.
All you single ladies.
All you lovers out there and Mike.
Hey, Pucks. I can't say hey F words because YouTube's policies have banned all swearing.
You can still say friends.
And their job, of course, is to protect you from your harsh, horrible, horrifying, lonely reality.
But what if we're just saying the French word for seal?
Yeah, French YouTube's about to go down.
There we go. We're actually French Canadians, so
bonjour les fuck.
Exactly.
We're just saying hello to the seals.
Yes. Hey,
that's a PH, not an F.
Yeah, it's a F. Oh no, PHOQUES. Boom. Yes. So bonjour fuck. Nous sommes ici pour parler de la Saint-Valentin, tabarnak. And
you just swore.
Yeah, but YouTube only cares about English swearing. Yeah. So, like, you know, we can just go tabarnak and calice de Saint-Sacrament. We're just talking about, like,
French swearing is just
Christian.
using the Lord's name in vain.
Exactly. Like, they're becoming puritanical, so we're using Catholic words. There we go.
Care about religion.
Anyway.
Hey, tabernacles.
Yeah.
That's going to be Mike's new sign-on.
Yep.
Why are we here again?
So we're here.
Because we're in love.
Well, some of us.
Two-thirds of us.
I was like, love. That's like a 0 score in tennis, right? Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
So we are all in love somehow.
Yeah, and there's a golfer that I really liked as a child, Davis Love III. So I know about love, somewhat. But anyways, we are here to talk about our favorite romantic movies. Why? Because our most watched videos on our channel are countdowns. 2 of them on one topic. But yes, that's our most watched stuff. So you guys like it, or the algorithm likes it anyway. So we're going to do it again.
People like lists.
Yes.
It's true.
Especially Oscar Schindler. Wait, no. Well, canceled. Sorry.
It's okay, he's dead. He doesn't care. Also, that's not your movie, is it? That burp spiked.
Oh my god, that was so well timed.
That's going to the blooper reel.
Yep.
That's going to be like the end thing.
Yeah.
No, it can't be. It's got to
stay in.
Yeah, it's got to stay in.
Yeah. So yeah, that is what we are doing for this Valentine's Day. We were going to watch a movie for it, but unfortunately, there's only one Valentine movie that matters, and
we already watched it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we don't have another David Boreanaz Valentine movie, and there is no Arnold Schwarzenegger romantic movie that we can really do one on, except for maybe Junior. No, and we're not doing that. No, hell no. Or Maggie. I don't know. No, that's weird. Hey, I'm gonna cut that part out. But anyways,
good call.
So we are gonna do this list, and
it's not much of a list. It's just our top 1 movies.
Yep, it's our favorites, and maybe a couple honorable mentions here and there. So, who wants to start? Not it.
Go ahead, Donnie.
Okay, I'm the only one not touching my nose.
Get this train wreck going.
All right. So my movie, I really was deciding between 2. The one I didn't go with was Definitely Maybe. Ryan Reynolds classic.
I've seen it show up on Netflix, but I never actually watched it.
Yeah. I chose not to do that because it's from around the same era of what I anticipate Eric's movie being. So I want to make it a little different. And also I've had this other movie sitting in a DVD stack to watch for a while. So I figured I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And that movie is Serendipity.
You're right. I never watched that one.
That sounds like an old, like, ferry boat of sorts. Is it Love on a Ferry?
No.
Oh.
There were no fairies involved. So, what is Serendipity? Have you guys heard of this movie at least?
I have not.
You thought it was a boat ferry movie.
Yeah, it's actually a boat in Red Dead Redemption. But anyways, yes.
Well, then. So, the definition of serendipity, as told, as I learned in the movie, is a fortunate accident. It's basically something that happens that completely by accident that ends up being a good thing for you. So
not our conception then.
No.
No.
Especially not good for your parents.
Sorry, Mom. Sorry, Dads.
How many are up to now? 7?
No, I don't know. I lost count.
Okay.
7.5.
Gotcha.
2 of them technically are the same strain.
I can have a baseball team, let's just say that.
So, I guess I will run through the plot in very, very big detail, because I wrote it out in very big detail, narratively, so you can enjoy the story with me, since you've never watched the movie. And big spoiler alert warning,
Jeremy Piven dies.
So, it's New York City in December 1994.
So it's Home Alone 2 again.
Where's Donald Trump?
They do go to a hotel. I don't know if he owned it. So, Jonathan and Sarah are two main characters.
Played by who?
You want to know cast right off the bat? Okay.
Yeah, might as well.
So, played by Jonathan, you gotta kind of deal with this. I know it's pretty hard to imagine him playing a character named Jonathan. John Cusack.
Okay.
Sarah is played by Kate Beckinsale.
All right.
I like it already. Wait.
How much leather is she wearing? How many vampires is she killing?
No vampires that are seen. However, at one point, which I'll get to, she's wearing like knee-high leather boots. And I was like, I wonder if those were Selena's boots. But I digress. So Jonathan and Sarah meet while both trying to buy the last pair of black cashmere gloves at Bloomington's.
Oh.
Bloomington. So they were Christmas shopping.
Sure it wasn't Bloomingdale's?
Bloomingdale's, maybe. Whatever. Bloomin' something or other.
Bloomin'
Bloomin' onions. Damn it. You stole my joke. Jonathan ultimately lets Sarah purchase the gloves, and in return she buys him dessert at the cafe next door. The cafe's name? Serendipity. I don't know why.
That's the name of the movie.
Exactly.
Roll credits.
Over the dessert, they chat and both discover a mutual attraction to one another, despite both being in relationships.
Despite one of them being John Cusack.
Hey, Kate Beckinsale has fallen for worse, I'm sure. Like Len Wiseman.
Oof.
Well, I mean,
he does keep her employed.
Yeah.
So there's that.
So many of those actor-wife relationships that just keep putting them in. Sorry, Leslie Mann.
So Sarah also explains during that meeting that she lets fate guide the decisions in her life. Ultimately, Sarah decides to give Jonathan her phone number, but upon receiving it, it blows out of Jonathan's hands. Sarah takes that as a sign that she shouldn't have done that, but Jonathan convinces her to do it again. So the compromise is that Sarah will write her name and number down in a book she had on her, which was Love in the Time of Cholera. And that
Cholera?
Cholera?
Love and Time and Cholera? The disease?
Cholera?
Yeah.
That's
okay.
a disease. That's a
There
disease.
you go. Love in the Time of Cholera.
Ugh.
And that the following morning, she would sell it to a used bookstore. Jonathan also wrote his phone number on a $5 bill, and it promptly gets used at a bodega. So the thought being that if they were meant to be together, one of them would find the item and be able to contact the person. As one last chance for fate to intervene, they both get on separate elevators at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. Is that owned by Trump? Well, he looks that up. If they both pick the same floor, it's meant to be. And Sarah leaves Jonathan one of her gloves. Despite both picking the 23rd floor, by the mid-teens, a literal devil child gets on the elevator with Jonathan and presses all the buttons. I say literal devil child because he's literally dressed like a devil.
So is this around Halloween?
That hotel is owned by Anbang Insurance Group Company Limited. So I'm going to see who owns that company.
It's a Trump shell company.
Yeah. It's how he funnels money. So sorry, what did you say? Devil child?
You said Devil Child.
Yeah, no, but you said something before Mike said that.
Was this around Halloween?
Oh, no, it was not. It was actually Christmas. They're Christmas shopping at the beginning at Bloomingdale's or wherever.
Why is there a kid dressed like the devil at Christmas?
I don't know. He's literally a devil child. They're literally like, they get on the elevator and John Cusack's like, this elevator is going up because you think people wouldn't get in the elevators going up. And they're like, no, it's fine. He just likes to ride the elevator. And then he literally presses all the buttons. Yeah, so by the time Jonathan gets off on the 23rd floor, Sarah's gone.
He gets up. It's a love movie.
That company was founded by Wu Xiaohui.
Translate that. Is it Donald Trump? It's Chinese name.
Yeah, I think this
It's not
joke's
showing
gone
his
on too
picture.
long.
Does it say he's racist?
No.
No, okay.
Only to the white man.
It must not be Donald Trump then.
Okay, irrelevant. Continue your story.
All right, so that's the setup. Then the movie continues, and it flash forward 7 years later. Jonathan is now a producer at ESPN, still living in New York City, engaged to a woman named Hallie. Not Haley, Hallie.
Like Halle Berry.
Yeah, but it's spelled Halley.
Oh.
Yeah. And Sarah is a therapist living in San Francisco, dating a cringy international musician named Lars. He literally plays like Arabic music. That's why I laughed when you said your thing in the car.
Oh.
Like,
Oh, yeah. Teaser for a YTP that I'm doing on my channel. But anyways.
There's a great scene where one of Sarah's clients is saying something like, oh, this happened to me, so it must be fate. And Sarah shuts him down, saying people who use fate and destiny as excuses just to not do the work to attain what they need to do. So clearly she's had a change of heart over the past few years, likely stemming from the fact that her and Jonathan never met up again. Days before Jonathan's wedding, he comes across the black glove he had kept and notices a receipt inside the glove with an account number on it. He decides it's a sign to find Sarah once more and asks his best friend Dean, a New York Times employee, for his help finding her. Because back then, there was no social media. You couldn't just Google someone.
You couldn't dox someone so easily.
Yeah, so he works for the New York Times. He writes obituaries for them, but he was like, you have access to the system. You can find her. But he never had anything other than her first name. So he's like, we need more information. But in any event, around the same time as that, Lars proposes to Sarah, but she feels that Lars keeps putting her aside to deal with his music career. So she enlists her friend Eve, played by Molly Shannon, to come with her on a vacation to New York City to take her mind off the wedding and the upcoming European tour of Lars's. Once they land, Sarah tells Eve her real plan is to once again try to find Jonathan. They spend the whole day, naturally, just missing each other at various locations and times as Jonathan follows the paper trail of the receipt to the store, their records department, and ultimately to her old address, which is now a bridal shop. Jonathan sees that as a sign he's supposed to just get married and heads to the Waldorf Astoria for the rehearsal dinner. Sarah, meanwhile, heads back to the old locales they had visited years ago before ending up at their hotel. Anyone want to guess what hotel they're staying at?
Waldorf Astoria!
Bonus points for Eric.
I wrote this movie.
While getting on an elevator, they meet Hallie, an old college roommate of Eve's.
Dun dun dun.
And they are invited to the rehearsal dinner and ultimately the wedding. But Sarah declines and heads up to her room to find an apologetic Lars outside her room. Sarah and Lars go out the next day, and it's clear nothing has changed with Lars, and they ultimately break up. On the plane about to head back to San Francisco, Sarah goes to buy headphones and realizes she ended up with Eve's wallet somehow, and inside was the $5 bill with Johnson's number on it. She exits the plane and uses a phone book to look him up, which is what you did in 2001, to surprise him. When she arrives at the address, she's told he's getting married at the Waldorf. She arrives and sees the placard with his and Hallie's name on it, but when she enters the room yelling stop, we get the Jingle All the Way karate class scene where the chairs are being packed up by a janitor who says the wedding is over, but it also didn't start. Rewind to the rehearsal, and Hallie gives Jonathan his groom's gift. Any guesses onto what that groom's gift was?
The other glove.
No.
No. Oh.
Mike, got anything?
The $5 bill?
No.
Oh, okay.
She has the $5 bill. It was a first edition of Love in the Time of Cholera. She noticed him always looking for it, and she was surprised he didn't have it in his collection. On the inside cover, Sarah Thomas and her phone number. He now had a last name and can look up the address using the New York Times database. He finds out she's in San Fran and flies down there to surprise her with Dean. In the window of her house, however, he sees two people having sex.
Right in the window.
Yep. The audience knows it's Sarah's sister and boyfriend who are house-sitting for them, but Jonathan believes it to be Sarah and is distraught. He doesn't know why he had to come to San Francisco to see that and that fate must be bullshit as a result. And Dean advises him that maybe he's lying on the grass in front of Sarah's house, not to be with Sarah, but to ensure he's not standing somewhere else, meaning at the altar. So Sarah finds out Jonathan called off the wedding that morning. She sees Eve off and tells her she's sticking around until she sees him. Jonathan and Dean arrive back in New York City invigorated. Dean goes off to make amends with his wife, who he had split up with recently, and leaves Jonathan with his best man speech, written like an obituary, which he states would have been the case if he did go through and get married. Jonathan walks around...
Obituary the band?
No.
Oh.
I literally said he writes obituaries for the New York Times. And also, no one likes death metal.
Triggering metal fan community.
Yes, part Donnie. I'm doing a triggering pop punk fans this next video, asshole. Anyways.
Go for it. I approve. Jonathan walks around to see what is left for him in the world and visits the skating rink he had gone to with Kate years prior. It starts to snow, and all of a sudden he's hit with a black cashmere glove. He sits up and sees Sarah. They walk up to each other and officially shake hands and meet before sharing an embrace. The movie ends a while later with the two of them in front of the same glove display where they had met celebrating their anniversary. And that's the plot of Serendipity, starring John Cusack as Jonathan, Kate Beckinsale as Sarah, Molly Shannon as Eve, Jeremy Piven as Dean, Eugene Levy as a salesman at the Blooming store, The Big Fat Greek Wedding Guy as Lars, and Mrs. John Wick as Hallie.
Yeah, I don't need to see that.
Question, comments, or concerns?
So how does this tie into the serendipity boat at Red Dead Redemption?
This came out before the Red Dead Redemption game.
Okay.
So
they copied that.
Yeah, so
gotcha. Okay.
So that's a question for Rockstar Games.
Yeah. Do they maybe they meet on the boat? I don't know. So that's just my question there.
Yeah. I do have a couple fun...
Someone at Rockstar's got some explaining to do. So
yeah. I do have some fun facts about this movie. So this movie came out October 2001. It takes place in New York City. Anyone want to guess something that had to be digitally removed from the film?
The Central Park? Central Perk? Yeah, because Friends was pretty controversial at the time because, this was right around the Matthew Perry had a trans father plot. So, I don't know. Maybe they had to remove the Central Perk to remove Friends references. I don't know. Oh, you're talking about the 93 bombing.
Yes.
They had references to it.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I gotcha.
It's funny you bring up Friends, though, because guess who was originally offered the role of Sarah?
Jennifer Aniston?
Correct.
Gotcha. Yeah.
She turned it down because she didn't want to be typecast as a romantic lead.
Even though she did Along Came Polly 3 years later.
Yep.
But anyways.
And there went her career.
Yep.
Wait, you said the movie came out in 2001, but you said that it took place in 1994?
The beginning took place in 1994.
Oh, right.
Years later.
Time skip. Gotcha.
Yes. They met in 1994, and then it time skips. I think it's spring. The beginning is Christmas. The end, it snows, but they make mention leading up to that, like when John Cusack and Jeremy Piven's character gets back to New York. They say, oh, it's really cold. And they say, well, what'd you expect? Spring? And it's okay, so is it... Are you saying what do you expect this is how spring is in New York?
Yeah.
Or are they saying what do you expect it to be spring? It came out in October.
Yeah.
But there were the ice rink in 1994 when they go skating on, it's ice skating, but in the current time it's people rollerblading on it. So it's not winter.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's maybe late fall, maybe early spring.
Yeah.
But it's cold enough to snow at the end.
Yeah. But yeah. So, was this the first movie that took place in New York that happened? Because that was a month later, right? So
yeah, probably just based on release date.
Yeah.
Because it literally came out. I looked and it was October 10th or something.
Yeah.
So it was literally a month after. Yeah.
Since we're on that topic, you know what the last music video to feature the Twin Towers in was? Rollin' by Limp Bizkit. Because they performed the song literally at the top of Tower 1. So Fred Durst did 9/11. Anyways.
Do we think that's what made the terrorists want to go after the tower specifically?
Probably.
Did they think Limp Bizkit were still on them?
Yeah. That's what happened.
It makes a lot of sense actually when you frame it in that reference.
Yeah. And they were also the last band to play at Woodstock before all the rapings made it shut down for good.
I still gotta watch that documentary.
I'm glad you added the words documentary there.
Yeah.
Not when he wants to look up the family gangbang from the last one. Family orgy! I gotta look that up. Why did I pick it? Well, it starts off at Christmas, and I'm the Christmas guy among us three. My wife and I also started dating around Christmas after a few months of trying to get together on my part to no avail. So to this day, anytime it snows, we remember falling in love. That's our story. And so to see kind of an expanded big Hollywood extension of a love story that kind of has similar beats, that kind of parallels our own, that makes me feel all warm and fuzzy on the inside, even though this movie came out a decade prior. Also, the cast is very funny. Obviously, I focused on the story here, but there are some very funny back and forth dialogue between the characters. Like Eugene Levy's character has this ongoing bit about not being able to go behind the counter that lasts even until the last scene of the movie. There was slapstick moments where Molly Shannon gets hit by golf balls and golf clubs
you
at a
didn't
driving
even mention
range.
Eugene Levy until the end.
Well, that's what as part of the cast, because what am I supposed to be like? Oh, he was the guy at Bloomingdale's that helped them
buy the glove.
Yeah, he actually extorted John Cusack into buying this ugly purple suit to give him the info of the account number, which was dead, and then was basically like, but now if you buy these shoes, I'll take you to the records department. And
hey,
we'll
man, when you work on commission, you got to do what you got to do.
That's literally what he said. He's like, I'm a little short. And John Cusack was going to buy a tie. And he's like, okay, that's $95. And he's like, great, can you give me the information now? He's like, no, I'm still $700 short. But yeah, so even if you're not here for the love story, there's enough in the comedy and storytelling to keep you around. But my favorite part, which is going to surprise you people, because I'm normally not this guy, but Alan Silvestri's score. It's so good for a guy known to do like these grandiose, big thematic movies. To do a little tiny romantic comedy so well was really incredible. The very end, I talked about the skating rink when she shows up and throws the glove on him. Like, that scene is my favorite scene, and it's because of not only what's happening, but also Silvestri's score that undertones it.
He did the soundtrack, the score for Forrest Gump. And
yeah, Forrest Gump, like Castaway, yep. Back to the Future.
That's the iconic one.
Yeah, most of the Avengers stuff. Yeah. He always does these like huge movies, so I was a little surprised when I seen his name in the opening credits.
Yeah, but hey, it's kind of like Hans Zimmer doing the Lion King soundtrack.
True.
But yeah, so is that your pick? Do you have any honorable, like, did you say your honorable mention?
I said definitely maybe.
Yeah.
That was the only other one I really considered.
Like, definitely maybe you have honorable mentions?
No, definitely maybe was an honorable mention. The only other one, I thought of 500 Days of Summer earlier today, and I was like, oh, I never even considered that, and I really like that movie. But that's kind of like an love movie, so probably wouldn't work for this, so I probably wouldn't have picked it anyways, but it was just interesting and never crossed my frame of reference, despite it probably being my favorite out of those three movies anyways. So the D and DEMBOYS is done.
Yeah.
I guess we go to E.
Yep.
Crazy.
Oh, damn it, he touched his nose.
So for my pick, there was no contest. It was going to be this movie, but out of my three favorite rom-coms, I'll go number 3, which you'll be surprised is only at number 3. Take Me Home Tonight.
What?
He thought you were doing that. I was like, no, he's doing Crazy
Stupid Love. I came here expecting you to pick that one.
It's up there, but it's not the best. It's not even my number 2, which...
It's just the meme.
Yeah, the meme makes it sound like I like it more than I actually do.
He hates it.
Where are all your copies of Take Me Home Tonight?
They're down there. You can take a picture and just put it in the video. But my second favorite was She's Out of My League. I could rewatch that one over and over again and still enjoy it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But yeah, as Donnie already guessed, my favorite is Crazy Stupid Love.
Woo! At least I got one of yours right.
Yeah, so Crazy Stupid Love is one of those... Not at all. Not sexy in the least, actually. I don't know, it's just so well written. So it had 2 directors. I don't know how that worked, but it had Glenn Ficarra and John Requa who directed it.
Movies have 2 directors all the time.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of clash between styles when that happens, unless they're like brothers or something.
Yeah, a lot of times that's what it is. They just work well together.
And then neither of them wrote it. It was Dan Fogelman who wrote it, who has a lot to answer for, because this movie is near perfect except for one fatal flaw in the story, which kind of makes the whole thing unravel when you even think about it for more than a second.
And it's Steve Carell's acting.
Unfortunately, no. His acting was pretty good.
Disagree, but go on.
Hey! That's the other thing I like about this movie is the cast. There's actually a lot of crossover between this and The Big Short. Mm-hmm. You have Carell, you have Ryan Gosling, and Marissa Tomei, who make an appearance in both. So they got to work together twice. It's a 2011 movie. It's been 12 years now, so, I could probably talk about spoilers.
Yeah,
if you haven't watched it by now.
Just say spoilers, and then Mike put, time counts in the video.
I'll go through the story, probably not as elaborate as you went through yours, but, give the basics.
Because I took notes.
Yes. But I've seen this movie so many times too that as I was watching, I'm like, I don't need to write this down. I remember all of this. So I don't know. This movie has a special place in my heart because it's about divorce, something that I know a little thing or two about.
Or 4.
Yes. And this is not so much a love story as more of a, reconciliation, redemption story.
Yeah, kind of like getting back on the horse.
Yeah, after you lost your way and things kind of fall into a rut and you forget who you are and then you have to find yourself again and then make things work. So the movie starts off with the main cast. Steve Carell plays Cal Weaver and his wife is Julianne Moore. She's the hated character of the story.
Yeah,
because
she's very unlikable.
It literally starts with her. They're at a restaurant having dinner and they're just showing that their life has become kind of bland and mundane. And they're just talking about what they want on the menu. And she wants a divorce. And it kind of throws you for a loop. And you're like, I'm watching a romantic movie and the first thing that comes up is a divorce talk.
It's crazy, stupid love.
Exactly.
That's the crazy love.
So then it cuts to them in the car on their way home. And she's just trying to explain that she's kind of having a midlife crisis. And she doesn't know what's going on with her. But that things have kind of gone downhill. And she doesn't know what she wants anymore. And he's just begging her to stop talking. He's just sitting in the car quietly. And the quieter he gets, the more she just starts to talk to fill the silence, and she just blurts out that she slept with a guy from her work, who is Kevin Bacon, who plays David Lindhagen, aka David Lindhagen, because everyone keeps pronouncing him wrong. He has to keep correcting everyone.
He's from Sweden.
So as they're driving, and she mentions that, and he's like, if you don't stop talking, I'm going to get out of this car right now, while she's driving. And he literally just unbuckles his seatbelt, opens the door, and falls out of the car.
Which Lady Bird ripped off 10 years later.
So it cuts to them at home, and then you can see the rest of the cast. They got 2 kids, a 13-year-old boy who's, I don't want to say a genius, but he's very smart for his age. I think he ends up being the valedictorian of his class.
We'll call him anti-Demboy.
Yeah. He's very mature. And then they have like a younger daughter, I think maybe like 8 to 10 years old. There's kind of like an intricate web between a lot of the main characters and how they're connected. So the 13-year-old boy has a crush on the babysitter, but the babysitter has a crush on the dad, Cal Weaver. And then you have a string of other characters that connect later, which I'll get to as I explain the story.
For the audio listeners, Eric is literally using his fingers and drawing a graph.
Put up the picture of Charlie Day with the graph and the cigarette in his mouth.
Yeah.
That's me right
he's
now.
literally mapping out his finger, being like, this person likes this person, but this person likes this person, moving it all around. It's very hilarious. Anyways.
So's the movie. So yeah, they get home, they explain to the babysitter that they're getting divorced, and the kid's standing right there. And then they're like, okay, well, this movie is just fucking moving right along. And then, so yeah, Cal he's kind of defeatist. Like, he doesn't put up a fight. He's not even like arguing with her about it. He just accepts the divorce, and he even chooses to move out and give her the house. Like, he's very non-confrontational about it. Mm-hmm. And then he moves out. He gets his own apartment. But then he just starts going to this same, like, kind of fancy looking bar. They never even show it from the outside or even talk about its name, but it's the same bar that everyone seems to go through throughout the whole movie.
Because it was just a set that they built. They didn't build the outside.
Yeah, it was a very fancy set, though. And so he just keeps going to this place, and he just keeps drinking vodka cranberries and drowning his sorrows away, and just loudly exclaiming to everyone next to him that his wife cheated on him, and that David Lindhagen cuckolded him. And this is the same bar where Ryan Gosling's character is introduced.
Ryan Gosling's in this movie?
Yeah.
Wow.
Star of Breaker High. Deep cut. So he's like well-dressed, well-coiffed, looks...
Just like in Breaker High.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then he's like a ladies' man. He
just
shows
like
up there
High.
Every night, leaves with a different woman. You don't even know what he does. Later on, they kind of reveal that his parents were rich, like they were wealthy businessmen, and they died and they left him all this money.
He had 2 dads?
Yes.
Nice.
Lucky bastard. So he's just wealthy. He's always got nice suits. He's well-dressed, well-groomed. He's a ladies' man. He's a pro at it. And every day he comes in and he sees Cal drunkenly blabbing off to all these random strangers about his personal life. And he starts to feel bad for him. So he kind of calls him over one night and talks to him about his ex-wife. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to change your life around. We're going to rediscover your manhood. And we're going to make your wife rue the day that she ever gave up on you.
So he couldn't see his penis anymore.
Exactly.
Okay.
So then it kind of cuts to like sort of a training montage, but
we're gonna need a montage.
They literally reference Karate Kid in this movie about the wax on, wax off, about you're gonna watch me, you're gonna learn, and we're gonna do this. And he takes him shopping to change his whole outfit, make him actually dress nice, because he just wears like New Balance shoes and like
they're comfortable,
oversized cargo pants and like a suit that's too big for him, and he just looks like a wreck. So he has him get dressed, like look good, get a haircut, and he's trying to like teach him to talk to women and not be weird about it, because he just always kind of devolves to his older, awkward self, and he just
like us.
Yeah, that's why he's a very relatable character. And then after he does his little Mr. Miyagi training and he's finally ready to go on his own, the first girl he sees at the bar is Marissa Tomei.
Aunt May.
Yes, sexy Aunt May. Yeah, you want to watch this now. So now what he learned from Ryan Gosling's character, who's Jacob Palmer, is that when you go talk to a woman, the first thing you do, you buy her a drink. You don't let her say no. You get her that drink no matter what. Then you got to let her talk about herself. Never reveal anything about yourself, because it's got to be about the girl. And then
Mike, you
I
take
think
notes?
at the end you're supposed to just insist on taking her home and again not take no for an answer kind of deal. It sounds creepier, yes,
that's
more than
rapey
the
as
way he
fuck.
does it. But
It's those memes where it's like
I feel like
flirtation
Yeah.
versus human resources.
yeah.
I feel like I'm watching.
Ryan Gosling says it. It's fine.
I feel
We
like-
say it. We go to human resources.
I feel like I'm watching an Andrew Tate instructional video here. But anyways,
Sure, that's
Go
a
ahead.
person.
yeah.
But we all have hair.
Oh,
So of course he goes to her, does the thing. He offers her to buy her a drink. She says no, but he does it anyways. And then she reveals that she's 5 years sober from alcoholism. So he's like, no, I don't want to drink. Go away, please. And then she keeps asking him what he does for a living. And knowing what he learned, he says, don't talk about yourself, only talk about her. So he refuses to say anything about him. He keeps asking her. And she's like starting to get scared because he's not talking about himself.
Yeah.
And then finally, after the end, she starts to get up to leave and he panics. And he's just like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And he just blurts out that he's a divorced man. He's got 2 kids. And then that he's like, I wasn't supposed to tell you any of that stuff. And she's like, well, what are you supposed to tell me? And then he blurts out kind of his line that Ryan Gosling was feeding him. And he's like, oh, that you're the perfect combination of cute and sexy and blah, blah, blah. And he starts going on this rant about his ex-wife and all this. And at the end, she's just like, you really think I'm the perfect combination of cute and sexy? And he's like, that's what you took from what I just said? She's like, uh-huh. And then he takes her home back to his apartment. And then like they have like the most awkward foreplay because he hasn't done it in like forever. And she's like, what do you think about it right now? He's like, I'm kind of worried you have AIDS. And she's like, what? He's like, just a little bit, just a little bit. He's like, what do you want to do with me? He's like, I want to take you to show you off to my wife and make her jealous.
Hey, that works though.
It did. That's what got her to the end. And then it cuts to them in the morning and she's like, oh, you're going to call me, right? He's like, yep. And then she leaves. And then it goes to like a cool montage where it shows him coming into the bar, nicely dressed. Now he's got confidence. He's done it once. And they do this cool thing where they make it look like one long take, but it's obviously like edited because it just keeps showing him talking to a different girl. And then the camera kind of rotates around the
Swings
bar to a
around.
different place. And
Yeah.
he's sitting with a different girl dressed differently. But it's really well edited. It just looks like one long shot. And it's like a cool little montage of him getting laid. And then meanwhile, like at the school, because now you have the subplot of the kid with the babysitter. And he's always like texting her and saying that he loves her and stuff. But she's like creeped out by it because she's 17 and he's 13. She keeps telling him that. He's like, I don't care. We're soulmates or whatever.
Yeah, you shouldn't date someone 4 years younger than you.
And then in his class, because he's texting her at the same time that his teacher is like talking about the Scarlet Letter, because that's what they're reading in class. And then when she says that, please stop texting me or making me uncomfortable, he gets up and starts saying asshole over and over again. So then, which causes the mom to come pick him up from the school. And then she takes him back to her office because she's still working that day. And then while they're at the office, he gets to meet David Lindhagen, who comes in and he's still trying to hit on the wife, and because she's technically, well, I guess they're not officially divorced. They never
They're
did anything.
separated.
Yeah, they're separated. So she's kind of on the fence about it, but she'll still like go on a date with him every now and then. And like she goes out of the office, and then he comes in the room to talk to the kid because he's trying to like buddy up to him because he wants to be a stepdad basically.
You want me to be your daddy?
And like he sits down on the couch facing the kid and he's like, so I heard you're really good at soccer. And then the kid gets in his chair and he raises it up to be higher than him. He's like, so I heard you broke my parents' marriage. And he keeps calling. He's like, so you must be David Lindhagen. He's like, Hagen. He's like, whatever, Hagen. Like, I mean, like, that's what I mean. Like, the kid's 13, but he talks like he's an adult. And after that, they leave. So they keep cutting back and forth between basically 3 different events. They got the kid and the babysitter, Cal Weaver and Ryan Gosling. And then you also have, then they introduce Emma Stone, but like they're never shown all together. It's kind of like in separated stories throughout the town. So her story is she's studying to be a lawyer. She's going for the bar exam. She's currently dating someone who's like very bland and boring. And her best friend is like, keeps telling her like get out of the relationship, like you're not even in love, you're just kind of with him for convenience type stuff. And they end up at the same bar that Ryan Gosling always goes to. I guess I should have said this first because this timeline wise in the movie takes place before, but
I didn't say my movie in the way the timeline because it's too much like back and
Yeah.
forth because there's so much. So it's
Same thing with this.
It's cleaner when talking about it just to like do a huge chunk and then be like,
yeah.
and while that was happening, this happened.
Yeah, so he and Ryan Gosling sees her at the bar, walks up to her, does this thing, tries to hit on her, but because she has the boyfriend, she like acts like she's not interested, and then leaves, and then they're kind of separated for a while. And then Emma Stone has her part. They just reveal that her name's Hannah, that's it. And back to Cal and Ryan.
He's doing
Now
the
they're-
finger graph thing again.
So now that he's more experienced and he's been with a bunch of other women, they're like buddy, and they like actually talk about their nights out and the girls they're with. They're becoming good friends, and that's just kind of I wouldn't say a throwaway scene because it's still character development, moves the plot along. But then Cal has to go to the parent-teacher night to talk about what happened in class with the kid saying asshole over and over again. So this is the first time that he sees his ex-wife again because they haven't seen each other since the separation.
Right.
But now they're both there. They walk up in the hall and then she sees him there and he's all nice dressed now, haircut. He's all confident. She's like, this isn't the guy I left. So they're sitting like 2 chairs and then like between them is the door to the teacher's class. So they're just waiting to be let in. They're just doing a little small talk and like you can start to see kind of like rekindling the flame. Like they're showing they're back in love again. Opens the door. Teacher comes out. It's Marissa Tomei. And he never called her again. And he sees her, or she sees him, and he's like, what the fuck? And then the wife's like, oh, do you two know each other? And then she's like, you could say that. And then they go into the class, and she's just dumbfounded. It's like, you fucking slept with me, never called me again, and this is how we're going to see each other. And because he told her when they were there one night out that they were actually divorced, but he introduced her as, this is my wife. He's like, oh, so this is your wife. He's like, okay, let's talk about your son. And then she goes on the chalkboard and writes down asshole really big. And then she starts basically calling him an asshole without saying it out loud. And she's like, asshole, meaning a guy that lies to you just to get in bed. Asshole, a guy that'll tell you the truth, even though he's full of shit like all the other assholes. And she's like, asshole, a guy who will let you go down on him for 45 minutes because he's nervous. And then the wife's like, oh, gross. And she's like, I have a feeling this isn't about my son anymore. And then, like, Cal's reaction is like, okay, listen. And he turns to his wife, he's like, she's an alcoholic. And she just starts screaming, and then they get out of the class. And then as they're, like, walking out, like, everyone's hearing this fight going on. And he's trying to explain to her, he's like, look, before we got married, he's like, I've only ever been with one woman. And since we've been separated, I've been with 9. And she's like, what? 9? She's like, oh, well, you sure showed me. And, like, she's thinking now that he did it out of spite. But, like, he was just trying to move on. And he explained that, like, you broke up with me. I'm trying to move on. Like, I'm just doing this. But so, like, you saw them, they were almost rekindling the flame until the teacher showed up. And then they just crushed any chance he had of coming back after that. And then...
yeah, they're definitely done for, it sounds like.
Yeah. So then back to Emma Stone's character. Now, she just graduated. She passed the bar.
Good for her.
She's a lawyer now.
She deserves it.
And they're at, like, this Mexican restaurant celebrating. And, like, her boyfriend has, like, this big announcement for everyone now that she's passed, and she thinks that he's going to propose, but all he does is offer her a position at the law firm that he's at, and she's, like, insulted by it. And then he's like, I thought you were going to propose. And he's like, oh, well, I don't know if we're quite there yet. I'm going to need some time to think about us. And then she was, like, so infuriated that she just stormed out, went back to the bar where she knows Ryan Gosling is, just went right up to him and started kissing him while he was, like, hitting on another girl. And he's like, you still want to take me home? He's like, yep. He's like, okay. And then they leave.
He didn't even have to buy her a drink.
Yeah. He just did all the work for him.
You just got to be Ryan Gosling, apparently.
That's all it takes. What is wrong with you people? How have you not figured this out yet? Be handsome, be ripped.
I'm not airbrushed in real life.
Yeah. Good joke.
Yeah.
Because you're coming back to that. So now they're at his place, which is like, not a mansion, but it's like a very nice upscale, it's like a bungalow.
It's a nice, like condo thing.
Glass walls.
Yeah.
Like, very nice. Like, definitely cliffside. He's got a pool and all that. You could tell he's rich, but you don't know why. And that's kind of where they explain his dead parents.
Human traffickers.
Exactly. He's just Bruce Wayne. He's just Bruce Wayne.
That's why he was taking all these girls home.
Yeah. So then they get there, and then she's like super nervous and kind of drunk because she doesn't know what she's doing, and she just left her not fiance because they never got engaged, but left her boyfriend, and he's just trying to figure out what's going on. And she's just like, all right, like, what's your big move? Like, what do you normally do? Like, I know what this is. Like, this isn't a PG-13 movie. We're gonna bang tonight. And she, like, tells him to take off your shirt. And he does. And, like, of course, he's fucking ripped. And she's like, God, are you Photoshopped? Like, fuck. He's like, all right, you take off your dress. Like, no, not now. Do you have any dim lighting somewhere? Like, she feels insecure about it compared to him.
Because she does not have abs.
Yeah. So then they talk about, like, how they usually do this. And then he mentions that he always talks Dirty Dancing into the conversation, because he can do the Patrick Swayze thing of, like, picking the girl up and holding her during the song. And so then they do that, and then it cuts to them going to bed, but they never actually end up having sex. They just end up having small talk, and then it just leads to more profound conversations about their life.
Sounds boring.
And then they actually just fall asleep together, like, all nice.
With clothes on.
Where's the part where Ana de Armas' robot, like a robot character, possesses the girl and has sex with him?
I think you're thinking of a different movie.
I know.
That's Terminator 3, right?
Yeah.
Someone got fucked on that one.
I thought it was Salvation.
So anyway, yeah. So then that kind of side plot kind of goes off, and then it's back to Cal, and he's depressed, and he's basically lost his chance to get back with his wife.
Julianne Moore, who you
Yes.
should not be terribly upset about not being able to be with.
The script was forcing him to. Actually, it also cuts back to the babysitter, because now that she knows that the dad's divorced and she wants to make a move on him because of her crush, so she talks to a popular girl in school who she knows has sex with older guys to try to like figure out, how do I get him to see me as more than just a kid and as a sexual being type stuff? So she tells her to like take naked photos of herself and send to him, which she does with like a Polaroid. And then she puts him like in an envelope, puts his name on it, and she hides it in her drawer until she can give it to him. And then that side plot's kind of curtailed to the side for a bit.
Sits there till the end.
No, not quite the end.
Oh, right. Yeah, sorry. Carry on.
And so now, like, it's showing Cal back at the bar. He's depressed. He's drinking again. But now Ryan Gosling isn't showing up anymore. So he's constantly calling him and leaving him voicemails like, hey, where are you, man? Like, if this is another Miyagi thing, I'm not getting it. And, like, it's showing that weeks are going by. So Ryan Gosling fell in love with Emma Stone, and he's actually dating her now instead of just sleeping around.
What?
Yeah, I know.
So I don't have a chance anymore.
No.
Dang.
With Ryan Gosling?
Exactly. You can still be with Emma Stone. He'll share. He doesn't care. So yeah, then he has like a heart-to-heart with his son about not giving up on your soulmates, and he decides to make one more big romantic gesture to try to win his wife back. So a couple of times in a movie they talk about how like when he was first dating her, he would take her mini golfing. So he decides to build like not a full course, but like one replica course in their backyard of like the windmill.
One hole, yeah.
Yeah, and then he's got like romantic music playing, and he's wearing a suit, and he tries to surprise his wife when she comes home from work, and his kids are all in on it. So they bring her to the backyard. She's wearing a blindfold, and he's like talking about how they first met and blah blah blah. And then a bit prior to this, I gotta mention is Ryan Gosling finally called Cal after weeks of kind of ghosting him. He says, hey, sorry, I haven't been in touch, I've been a little busy, but I'm calling you because I got a big emergency and I got no one else I can call. It's like, I've been dating this girl, like we're in love, I'm about to go meet her mom, I don't know what to do. And he's like, just don't be yourself, because like you know who you are. It's like, yeah, but you'll be fine, whatever, like good for you. And then later the daughter shows up. It's Emma Stone.
No.
And she brings Ryan Gosling into the backyard, and Cal sees him. He's like, what the hell are you doing here? And then the mom's still blindfolded. She's like, what's going on? Can I see him? I want to see him. And then Emma Stone's like, oh, you two know each other? And he's like, no, you cannot be with this guy. And he's like, what is happening? He's like, how is this your daughter? He's like, well, we were 17 when we had her. We were very young. And so now there's like this huge tension between them. That was like the big twist of the story. But the part that falls apart when you think about it for more than a second is, how did he not know they were related? They have the same last name. How did he date her for weeks without knowing that her last name was also Weaver?
I mean, Weaver's like...
But he could have also been, oh, I just met a guy named Cal Weaver.
Yeah, do you know Cal Weaver? Yeah.
Yeah, like, they would have came up at some point.
One would imagine.
Dan Fogelman, you fucked up big on that one. You could have put in, like, one small scene explaining it away, saying that she took her mother's name or whatever reason.
Well, and they do like he does like somersaults throughout the movie. Mike, have you seen this movie?
No.
Okay, good. So not just cutting you off. He does like somersaults throughout because she calls herself Hannah to him, but her family.
That part. Everyone calls her Nana. Because when she was a little kid, she couldn't pronounce her H's.
Yeah.
So throughout the movie, you kind of hear just bring up, oh, did you talk to Nana? It's like, oh yeah, Nana's doing good.
Exactly.
And of course, as a viewer, you're just thinking, oh, it's their grandma in like a nursing home or something.
Yeah. And they do make mention that they have another kid, but she's off in college.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like it. So they make sure...
You kind of put it in the back of your mind, but you don't pull attention to it.
Exactly. So they made sure to make it so that, well,
it's
Ryan Gosling wouldn't realize it from that, but you're right, the last name would kind of give it away.
And because at that moment it was kind of a surprise that Cal was there, and she said that, oh, it's like, I'm going to go meet her mom.
Yeah.
So you're not thinking that Cal's going to be there because he's not supposed to.
Yeah.
And then when they show up, all the kids keep calling, oh, Nana's here, Nana. And he's like, who the hell's Nana? He's like, oh, when I was a kid, I couldn't pronounce my H's. I'm Nana.
Yeah,
and he's like, oh, shit.
And that's when the audience knows.
Yeah. And then it cuts to the babysitter's mom, who finds the naked photos in her daughter's drawer, brings it to the attention of the dad, and he freaks out thinking that like his friend is sleeping with his 17-year-old daughter because they heard the rumors that he'd been going out with a lot of different girls.
Yeah.
So now he drives over there in his car, like rushing over, and then she wants to stop him because she knows it's a big misunderstanding. So she's rushing behind in the mom's car. They get to the backyard and they're seeing them argue. And then he shows up and he just like tackles Cal to the ground because he's like, "You're fucking my daughter. She's just a little kid." And then Ryan Gosling shows up to save the dad and like pulls him off of him. And then the girl's like, no, Dad, stop. He doesn't even know I have a crush on him. And then the son hears this because he's in love with her. He's like, my dad's the older guy that you like? And now he thinks his dad's trying to steal his woman away. So that's like the whole intricate web coming together now. And then, of course, right at the last second, David Lindhagen shows up. He's like, "Hey, Emily, you forgot your jacket in my car." And then everyone just stops and they're like, "David Lindhagen." And then Ryan Gosling's, "Okay, I know what to do here." He takes his ring off. He goes over and punches him in the face. But then...
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, just punches Kevin Bacon in the face because he knows what he did to Cal.
Yeah.
And then Cal runs over, tackles him. He's like, "You stay away from my daughter." And then the dad, the babysitter, goes, "You stay away from my daughter." And then David Lindhagen comes back and he grabs onto Ryan Reynolds like, "I don't know who you are, but..."
Ryan Reynolds?
Ryan Gosling, the other handsome Ryan. So now these four guys are just hugging each other, not knowing how to fight.
And Ryan Reynolds showed up for some reason.
And then they collapse to the ground and it cuts to the cops there. And they're like, "Okay, we're just going to put this off as a domestic disturbance."
Yeah.
And he's like, "But next time, just do it in your home, keep it in the family." And when he says that, Ryan Gosling just starts laughing because he's nailing his daughter. So then that part like derails everything.
And that's the Ryan Gosling laughing gif.
Yeah. Where he's just like, keep it in the family.
See, you've seen this movie.
And then he like forbids his daughter from seeing him. But the wife still doesn't know who this guy is or why he hates him so much. Yeah. And then like his whole romantic gesture kind of falls apart, and especially with finding out about the naked pictures of the babysitter. And then he just says, he's like, "I give up." He goes to Dave and he says, "You know what, you can have her." And he just leaves. And then it kind of gets, this is near the end, but...
Yeah, that's when I said like, until the end, I was like, that's the end. And then it's like, well, not really. That's just kind of what pulls it all apart. But then
it continues to show like a small like time lapse happening of Emma Stone not calling her dad to try to get forgiveness and see what's going on, and he's still like drinking alone at the bar miserably, and his wife is still kind of dating David but not really, and the son is still depressed over, he finally like deletes her number from his phone, all sad. But then Ryan Gosling shows up at the bar to talk to Cal and be like, "Okay, we got to be adults about this. It's like, I'm not just nailing your daughter, like we're in love." And he's like, "I've seen too much, I know too much, I can never give you my blessing to be with my daughter." But he's like, "But I'm glad you've changed and you're a better man for it." And he's like, "Okay, but your son's 8th grade graduation's next week, like are you coming to that? Like you haven't seen him or talked to him in weeks, he's worried." And then it cuts to the end where they're at the graduation and he's sitting like far away from them, and his son's giving the valedictorian speech to the class, but it's like super depressing because he's like miserable now about his parents' divorce and his babysitter not liking him back. And then Cal like literally interrupts his speech. He goes down and he's like, "I'm sorry, I want to apologize, my son's speech sucks." He's like, "That's not a joke." And then like the teacher, Marissa Tomei, is still at the front. She sees him and she keeps flipping him off during the speech. And then she's like talking to her coworkers like, "That's the guy." Then he gives like this nice heartfelt speech about like not giving up on your soulmate, and that he learned that from his son, that they shouldn't give up, and he still loves his wife. And then right after, the kid grabs the mic and he goes to the bass, "I still love you." And then everyone's clapping and laughing and they're having a good time. So it kind of wraps up nicely at the graduation. Everyone's kind of back together, and then he finally accepts Ryan Gosling to be with his daughter, but he tells him, he's like, "I bought a firearm from an illegal website. It's very shady, and I'm prepared to shoot you in the face with it." So now, like, he's okay with them. They're all good. They're all buddy-buddy. And then the babysitter tells the kid, like, "You know what? Like, I know it's not going to work out right now." But the kid's like, "It's okay." He's like, "Because you like my dad, and in a few years I'll look like him, and I'll come for you then."
Yeah.
And she's like, "That's a pretty good plan." But to tide you over till high school, she gives him the naked pictures of her. And then that's kind of like their send-off. And yeah, pretty much just ends like that. I guess it's implied that they get back together, but it's never actually established. And yeah, the movie ends there. It was a funny movie. There's a lot of great moments, except for that fucking one plot hole that tears the whole thing apart, because everything hinges on that, like, that twist.
Well, and that can be easily written off as in, like, when Ryan Gosling first meets Steve Carell's character, he could be like, "Listen, I'm going to help you. Like, no names, like, bare minimum. Yeah. We're not going to be friends. I just feel really bad for you," which is basically what he says anyways. Just, like, take it a step further and add a piece of dialogue that says, "No names, you're Cal.
Yeah, I don't want to know anything about you.
Exactly.
But he straight up tells him, and then
Exactly.
and the name comes up a lot too, because in like one of his when they're doing like the dating montage, and he keeps bringing up his last name is like he's like Cal Weaver, no relation to Dennis Weaver, and then the girls are like, huh? And he's like, oh, it's this old show McLeod.
Yeah.
And then Ryan Gosling goes, like, not talking about McLeod again, is he? So like the name's established. Unfortunately, they could like I wonder if there's actually a director's cut of this where they added one scene to kind of clarify something that like I don't know how they could have fixed it, but they could have tried something.
Literally just one piece of dialogue. Like, no, like, we're not going to be friends. Like, I don't want to know your life story. Like, you're Cal. I'm whatever. I don't even remember Ryan Gosling's name.
Jacob Palmer,
yeah. You're like, you're Cal. I'm Jacob. Like,
that's all you need to know. Yeah.
That's all you need to know. Here's my phone number. If you ever need anything with regards to this, we're going to train. We're going to get you new clothes. We're going to, like, I'm going to teach you stuff. That's it. Yeah. On the way. That's all you need. One line of dialogue.
But otherwise, other than that, if you kind of ignore that, it's an enjoyable movie.
So like, what's your favorite scene from the movie?
Like, I'm a huge fan of montages. I really enjoyed the montage of him buying his clothes, and throughout the whole thing...
He's a Rocky fan.
Yes, even Rocky had a montage. Yeah.
Rocky and Bullwinkle, he means.
Throughout like the whole thing, he's always doing this thing where he slaps Cal in the face, and Cal's like, would you stop doing that? And like, there's actually a moment. I think there's also a meme of that too, of like Ryan Gosling kind of standing like this, looking weird, because like he takes out his wallet and it's a Velcro wallet, and as soon as he hears the sound, he's like, "Where's your wallets? Like, you're not using a Velcro wallet." And there's like a part where he's talking to him, and they're like in a change room at a gym, and Ryan Gosling's just standing there like the Captain Morgan, but he's completely naked right in Cal's face. And Cal's like, "Could you please not do that?" He's like, "What? You have a problem with my schwanz in your face?" And he's like, "No," like sarcastically. He was like, "Well, if you don't have a problem, then we have a real problem here, because you should have a problem with my schwanz being in your face." And then it cuts to them in a sauna, and he's still in the same position, and Cal's kind of there like dehydrated, and he's giving a little speech, and then he kind of passes out right into his crotch. I really like that.
Also, Eric did the Captain Morgan dance for us.
That whole time.
And his schwanz was in my face.
You're welcome.
Tell
us about Eyes Wide Shut, you filthy animal.
I thought he was going to go Titanic.
Nope, we are not. I do enjoy Eyes Wide Shut.
He's a Kubrick simp.
Yes, I am.
What about Titanic?
Titanic, I do like,
because you're a Cameron simp.
Yes,
I just
Titanic is a much better disaster movie than it is a love story.
And he's not just talking about the acting.
Yes.
Take that, Captain
Anyways, it was funny because like you guys picked like actual romantic movies, kinda, whereas I picked movies that had love stories in them, but that you wouldn't think of that when you thought of the movies. So like, yes, Terminator was one.
You picked Die Hard again, didn't you?
No, I did not.
I made that joke.
Another one actually that is like an honorable mention was Raging.
Predator.
God damn it! Shut up.
Raging Boner?
Yes, Raging Boner. The Raging Bull porn parody. But anyways, no, Raging Bull, because in that movie, the only boxing movie that Eric doesn't like.
I'm sure there's others, but that's at the bottom, yeah.
But in that movie, of course, like Jake LaMotta marries this...
Joe Pesci.
Yes, marries Joe Pesci. And he gets like super fucking possessive with his wife that he thinks is like cheating on him all the time and blah, 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 blah. And as a guy who like has been cheated on, it is not fun. And you kind of like have to get over that when you're in your next relationship and all that. But anyways...
When did Joe Pesci cheat on you?
Talk!
Yeah.
He saw Home Alone.
Yeah.
Thought it was going to be him. He took off to New York with Marv.
So that is one. Another one, and this is not a movie, but TV show.
Oh, okay.
And I'm kind of spoiling it.
Breaker High.
For you guys have never seen Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul. I know
you
you have.
I've seen Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
I've never seen Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul.
Or Butter Call Saul.
Butter Call Saul, yeah. That's the South
I can't believe
Park.
it's not Butter Call Saul.
That's the South Park parody episode.
Is it really?
Butter's Call Saul.
Oh, that's hilarious. They should do that.
There's actually not. Yeah,
they should. And I'm calling Matt Stone right now.
But like in that show, spoiling it, I guess a little bit, but like you kind of learn that that Saul Goodman, the lawyer in Breaking Bad,
is not a good man.
Yes, basically. And to describe this to Eric, he's like a Lionel Hutz type.
Yeah, ambulance chaser.
Pretty much.
Yes,
but like
absolutely.
For like the most rotten criminals ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that, and you just kind of learn like why he is like the comic relief in Breaking Bad through that show, and it's basically like a coping mechanism for him because like people who like he loves just either like leave him or they turn their backs on him, and it's kind of like his own little coping mechanism. So I just really enjoyed that one.
You're right, that wasn't a love story at all.
Yeah, I know. But anyone who's watched it, they know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
so,
when Lionel Hutz is the lawyer for Fat Tony.
Another one that I really liked, and this is kind of like a play on the whole rom-com formula. This one is a brom-com, a bromance comedy. It's called I Love You, Man.
Nice.
Yeah, it's kind
Sorry,
of
TV's Hulk.
Yeah.
it's kind of a play on the whole thing, and like it's Paul Rudd meeting up with like he has like no friends. He's getting married soon, but he has no best man because he's got no friends, like no male friends anyway. And so he decides to go on like man dates, and he finds Jason Segel's character. I can't remember their names right now.
Pistol Pete and Jobin.
Pistol Pete and Jobin, yeah. And
Set me up with Elmo over here.
And
Well, that guy's cool.
they eventually like do hit it off, and they become very close friends together. But then they go through rough times, kind of like couples in rom-coms go through, but instead it's like a friend. I don't know. It's a really good play on like the rom-com formula, and that's a good one to check out. But
And
anyway,
with more
Teach you about
penises.
jerk-off stations.
Yeah.
but anyways,
I'm looking at Eric's right now.
This whole apartment.
yeah.
Yes.
But anyways, my pick for my favorite romantic movie is My Cousin Vinny.
Oh, of course. Back to Marissa Tomei.
Back to Marissa Tomei. Yeah, that's what
I knew when you said that. I was like, but I've never seen My Cousin Vinny, so I know it's like a legal comedy. So I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, well, as soon as you
Couldn't put
said
that together.
Marissa Tomei, I'm like, interesting.
yes. So
But
I figured she was involved somehow.
Yeah.
Have you seen My Cousin Vinny? No one's
Okay.
seen My Cousin Vinny. Tell us about it, Mike.
Well, that's great. Now I have to describe the plot too. You can all fall asleep. But anyways, so this movie,
Hey, we're an hour in. If they haven't fallen asleep yet,
yeah.
they're due to.
So this movie is considered to be a legal masterpiece. Like every lawyer you talk to, they say like, they ask them like, what's the most like
legally accurate.
the most legally accurate and like the most realistic movie that is about like courtroom stuff.
And it's The Lincoln Lawyer.
It's Harvey Birdman and Tommy at Law.
Yeah, that too. But that's what it's considered. But like, what's forgotten about it is that like there is a couple in this movie that is like, it is my favorite movie couple.
Hashtag couple goals.
Yeah, because so it's Joe Pesci. He is Vincent Gambini
And Daniel Stern.
And Mona Lisa Vito, played by
Daniel
Marissa-
Stern. Dang it. Ow! No, Mike, no!
It played by Marissa Tomei, and they are two New Yorkers, and they travel to Alabama to defend Vincent's cousin, played by the Karate Kid himself, Ralph Macchio.
I knew that.
Yes, and his friend, I can't remember his name right now. I was the only one of these guys that did not take notes. Stan Rothenstein.
I completely understand not remembering that name.
Yeah, and Vincent has to defend these two boys from a murder charge, which they will face the death penalty for
Feel the romance already.
if they're convicted, right? And also two New Yorkers, and they getting charged in Alabama, so like the court wants to make an example of them, right?
So which one of the two boys is named Vinny?
None.
Joe Pesci.
It's Bill Gambini, actually. It's the
Is there even a
that's his
cousin in this movie called
Yeah,
Vinny?
Joe Pesci
Vincent.
is Vincent.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And then he's the cousin of one of the guys on
Yeah.
trial.
Gotcha.
So to the guy on trial,
Yeah.
it's my cousin Vinny is representing.
and Bill Gambini, played by Ralph Macchio, is like,
Can we call him Bill Karate?
when they're in their holding cell, they're like, we got to get a lawyer, and he calls his mom. He's like I need $10,000 for a lawyer, and his mom's just like,
What is this, a charity?
we don't have that kind of money, but we do have your cousin who's a lawyer. And then he says, oh, my mom just told me we have a cousin that's a lawyer, my cousin Vinny. And
Destiny with a movie.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
right?
no crazy stupid love in your movie.
And so, like, Vinny and Mona Lisa Vito, that is like her full name. We'll call her Lisa for
Sure.
this whole
Marissa.
thing.
Did you know Marissa Tomei is an anagram for It's a Me Mario? So call her It's a Me Mario.
Okay, so it's a me. So Vinny and it's a me, they get down to Alabama to defend this kid and his friend. And throughout the movie, like, okay, the courtroom scene, the courtroom stuff I won't talk about, but like the chemistry between Joe Pesci and Marissa Tomei is unbelievable. They actually feel like a real couple throughout the entire movie, which is maybe a little bit weird because he's 50 at this time, or no, 49 at this time, and she was like 27.
Eric just had a movie with a 17-year-old crushing on a 40-year-old, so it's fine.
Okay, yeah. So, but anyways, yeah. So that is a thing. But they are like such a they feel like a real couple because like yeah. What's that?
Your girlfriend's in the other room.
We're not a real couple. It's okay. Also, that's a New York couple. That's different.
Yeah. Because and funny enough, they actually bicker a lot in this movie and they argue a lot. Like there's one scene in the movie where Vinny is trying to build like a rapport with like the prosecutor, and so he goes and hangs out with him at his cabin and goes hunting with him, and he's telling it's a me about this and she comes out with one of the most iconic quotes of the movie. She's like, "Hold on, you're gonna shoot a deer?" Like, says it like that. And he's just like, I have to. I have to look tough to this guy. These are like Southern people. They're tough and all that. And then he asks her, "This is what I'm going to wear while hunting. How do I look?" And she just like goes off on this fucking rant. Imagine this. You're a deer. You tilt your head all the way towards the creek and you taste that nice clear water. Bam! You're laying on the ground dead. Now, would you really give a shit about what the son of a bitch who shot you was wearing? So that is a really awesome scene. And so like they bicker a lot, but at the end of the day, they like really have each other's backs. And there's like moments in this movie anyway, like near the end of it, he's feels like he's losing the case and like he's just looking through for like evidence and whatever, and he's just like stressed out and he's like, my cousin's gonna get the fucking death penalty and blah 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 blah, and she's just trying to help him in some way. And like she takes pictures, she has the location the murder took place, and she gives the pictures to him, and like he's just like, "Oh, look at this is just a wonderful picture. Oh yeah, oh look, tire tracks, oh that's really gonna help. Oh look, a screen door," and blah, and just starts freaking out on her. And she just looks at him and like with like a deathly fucking stare, and then she's like, "I'm out of here, bye." And
they never see each other again.
Roll credits.
But no, and then like, I don't know, I'm sure there's all times like for us where like we've been fucking jerks to our significant others, and we know we are when it's happening.
Eric's a jerk to me like 3 times a week.
Yeah. And then after it happens, it's like instant fucking regret, and that like she leaves and he tries to chase her out of there. Like he tries to like follow her out of the restaurant that they had the argument at, and he's like, "I'm sorry, but like she's already gone and everything."
He was looking at crime scene photos in a restaurant.
Yeah, because like
that's the South.
because he didn't want to stay in a hotel anymore because he couldn't sleep in the hotel because there was a pig farm right next to it and a train just not too far away that like would go by at 4 every morning and wake him up. Also,
he's a New York Italian. They didn't have any lasagna.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
It's not a continental breakfast.
Yep.
Yeah, and like, there's also like a great moment in the movie too, where again the prosecutor that he is going up against actually offered him to stay at his cabin because he couldn't sleep at that hotel, right? And both him and It's a Me are at that cabin. And he's still stressed out about the case. This is like before, like midway through the movie or something like that. And he's stressed out about the case and just like worried and blah, blah, blah. And he hasn't slept in days. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, It's a Me just starts like, talking about their relationship to him. And she's like, what she says is like, "I know that you're like, you already got a lot of pressure on you right now. You said after you won your first case that we would get married. And it's been 6 years since then. You still haven't won your first case. And at the rate this is going, I am never getting married," and all that. And he just like absolutely loses his shit. And he's like, I got a judge who's aching to throw me in jail. I have not slept in fucking weeks. I got no money. I have a dress code problem because he always goes to the courthouse in a leather jacket, which the judge hates. And, and not to mention a case that I'm working on, which in the balance holds the lives of 2 innocent kids. Gee, I don't know. Is there any more shit we can pile on to this right now? And then she just looks at him. She's like,
I'm pregnant.
yeah. She's like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't have brought that up.
No wonder he turned to a life of crime after.
But,
For not winning a case for 6 years, I would too.
yeah.
He turned to a life of crime after 2 weeks without a job.
But at the end of the day, they still support each other, and she supports him like 100%. There's even moments like in the beginning and like close to midway through where like he's still like stressed out about the case and everything, and just like wondering like, can I really fucking do this? Like, because these guys are facing pretty much death. And I'm their saving grace and whatever. And she's like, basically like, and this was right after they had like a little bit of an argument or something. And she's like, don't worry, you got this. And like, cause I know how you are and blah, blah, blah. But like they support each other because they only like really have each other at that point. So yeah, that is basically my favorite
Hashtag couple goals.
alternative romantic movie, but romantic.
Because he's got neck tattoos. They're alternative.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, and also like, legal masterpiece and all that, but like,
does Bill Karate get off?
Bill Karate?
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Spoiler alert. But yeah.
We said spoiler alert already twice.
Yeah.
If you're still listening to this video, that's on you.
So if he wins that, so he won the case, do they actually get married after?
No, they actually get
at the end of the movie. Actually, it's them driving, like Joe Pesci and It's a Me, and he's just like, he's looking at her and he's like, I won my first case. You know what this means, right? And she's like, now you think I'm gonna marry you? And he's like, well, like you're the one that wanted this. And she's just like, no. We ain't getting married at some fucking courthouse. And she's just like talking about like what she wants for the wedding and all that. And that's how the movie ends. So if they do, then yes, but it's off screen.
It's implied.
After the movie's over. So it's good there. But yeah, great cast too. Like, of course, Joe Pesci, Marissa Tomei, and the Karate Kid himself, Ralph Macchio, and the judge. The judge is played by Fred Gwynne, aka the father. I think he's like the main character in the Munsters.
Eddie Munster?
Probably.
Herman.
I think.
Herman Munster.
Herman Munster, yeah. Another thing I do like about this movie, like, again, not talking about like the romantic plot and everything, it takes place in the South, but not every like Alabama character is like a Southern stereotype.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, like there's only one, and it's like some bar dude who wants to kick Vinny's ass. But yeah, other than that, like, it's a really well-made movie, directed by Jonathan Lynn, who was, to my knowledge, an actual like lawyer at some point in his life or had a law degree.
I don't know him. Did he direct anything else I would know?
Other law movies?
The Whole 9 Yards.
Oh.
I don't like that movie.
Yeah.
What about The Whole 10 Yards? Did he do the sequel?
No, don't think so.
No, there you go. He rebounds a little bit then in my books.
Yeah.
Okay, so what Oscars did My Cousin Vinny win?
Actually, since you asked, Marissa Tomei actually won Best Actress or Best Supporting. Yeah, that was the only Oscar it was nominated for. Yeah, was Best Supporting Actress for.
She carried that movie.
Yeah, and yeah, she was excellent in it. And but yeah, that is my pick for favorite couples I don't know movie. Yeah. But
yeah, me and Eric went with like romance movies. You were just like, this is my couple goal.
Marry Joe Pesci.
Yeah, and I'm like the
Marissa Tomei.
Yeah, and I am the least experienced on love because well, whatever. Yeah, this is what I would want at some point if I ever
failed lawyer.
Yes,
in the South.
Yeah,
he's not in the South. He just happens to need to go to the South.
Yeah, basically. If I ever decide to stop working, but anyways. Yeah, and that is my pick. And do you guys have any questions about the movie?
What's your favorite scene?
Favorite scene? Oof. There are so fucking many.
Okay,
Was there a nude scene with It's a Me?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Okay, so let's narrow it down then. Let's say since this is the Valentine's Day romance, what's the one scene, like you say, like this is the relationship I want. So what's the one scene that really makes you think that? Like what's the scene that you see that you're like, I want to be in a couple that like they are?
Okay, so there is a scene where background information. It's a Me is actually an expert on cars. And because her whole family, she has a family full of mechanics, and she spent pretty much all her youth in
riding in cars with boys.
That too. But anyways, in garages working on cars, and she pretty much did everything. And eventually the question of how the tire tracks that were shown in that one photo were made, and the prosecutor brought in his own expert witness, and he said, he basically described the type of tires that made those tire tracks, and that those tires were on that car that Bill Gambini, aka
Bill Karate,
was driving, and that's how they corroborated. I don't know. I don't know what the word is, but that's how they corroborated that evidence. I don't know.
I'm assuming they canceled out the evidence, so it wouldn't be corroborate. Corroborate's how they put two and two together.
To counter that, Vinny decides to use It's a Me as a witness, and the prosecutor's like, wait, there's no way this woman knows anything about cars, so he is he wants to test her knowledge and everything.
Or he's being misogynistic, but go on.
I mean, I think that's the point, and it gets
just
thrown.
Go up there and says, if you're sitting in a Chevy and you're feeling something heavy, what could it be?
But no, he actually asks her a technical car question. He asks, what's the correct ignition timing on this particular model car?
Ford Gremlin.
And Joe Pesci is looking at his cousin, Bill Karate and Stan. He's like, watch this. And and she's like, it's a bullshit question. And the prosecutor's like, is it because you can't answer it? And then he's telling the judge, she is not an expert witness, blah, blah, blah. And the judge is like, can you answer the question, Miss Vito? And she's like, no, it's a trick question. And she just basically owns the prosecutor here. And he's just both the judge and the prosecutor and the rest of the jury and the courtroom is just looking at her how did you fucking know? You just basically just own this dude. And the prosecutor's is like, she'll do. And right after, Joe Pesci is sitting at his chair, and he's just
lounging. Remember, this is audio.
Lounging and just nodding his head, and he's just sitting there, and he's just very, very proud of her. And that's probably my favorite couples moment, where it's just
he puts faith in his partner.
And it's just because he knows what she's capable of, and he's seeing her in action. It's just he's got a lot of pride for that, and that's something that's my favorite part, is you support them, and then when you see them actually just completely own the entire room, he just couldn't feel any more prouder of them. And so that was,
so your goal is to date an Italian mechanic. Got it.
Exactly. Or Marissa Tomei.
Yeah, but said an Italian mechanic.
Whichever comes first.
Wait, didn't she die in Spider-Man No Way Home?
Spoilers.
Oh, you
can have Uncle Ben.
Yeah. So
yeah, he's already dead.
Any other questions?
You got anything for him?
I just had the Oscar one.
Any nude scenes of Oscar the Grouch?
No. But the funniest scene in the movie, it is the scene where Vinny finally gets to the jail cell, and Stan doesn't know who he is. Bill does, obviously.
Bill Karate.
Yes. Stan doesn't know who he is. Bill does. Unfortunately, Bill is sleeping, and the way Joe Pesci is dressed, he kind of looks like he just got arrested and thrown in jail because he's wearing the leather jacket and kind of looking like a badass and whatever.
And he's a criminal, as we've seen in Home Alone 2.
Exactly. And, Stan, of course, is just scared shitless being in jail, right? And he's afraid that he's going to be made someone's bitch or whatever. And when they meet, it's basically a double entendre where Joe Pesci comes in and he's just like, okay, who am I starting with here? Oh, is it you? And he's saying that in a way that he's like, okay, I'm the one who's defending you. But the way Stan is interpreting it is like, oh my God, I'm going to get butt fucked here.
And he wasn't excited for it, just to be clear.
For example, Vinny is just like, you should be fucking thankful. You should be on your fucking knees. You're getting me for nothing, you little fuck. And then he's like, you should be scared. I mean, it's your ass, not mine. There's just so many fucking different jokes in that fucking scene. It's one of the best written comedy scenes I've ever watched in my life. And such a beautiful double entendre and right up my alley. So that's the funniest part of the movie. So that is the M that is picked. And
now it's us, boys. Boys?
Boys.
Oh, no, they went to the bathroom. I guess we'll have to save those for next year.
Where's the Dems boys? Where's Selena? What's your favorite romantic movie? Kitty?
Mouse Hunt.
Is it Cats? No? Okay.
That's nobody's favorite movie.
Yeah. But yeah. So those are our picks, and what are yours?
Let us know in the comments below.
Yes. Did you want us to watch a movie for this, and are you disappointed? Well, too bad. Maybe you should actually watch the videos where we watch movies instead of doing lists. These weren't really lists. These were just our picks. But yes, thank you very much. Are there any sign-offs you guys want to say?
Have a very romantic Valentine's chocolate sale.
Awesome.
I hope you all get to at least second base, like I am.
All right. And that's it from me. I hope everyone is broken up with on Valentine's Day. Go to fucking hell. Piss off. Bye.